Hi, everybody. Welcome to Beyond the Backcast, where I, Adam Upper, talk with Braydon Kenny to talk about Batman, the animated series. And this week's episode is Time Out of Joint. How you doing today, sir?
Flavor Fugate's back in the house. I'm good. How are you?
I am well. I am well. As I said, this episode is Time Out of Joint. It is the 73rd episode to be produced and is the 75th episode to be to air, airing October 8th, 1994. So we're getting pretty close to Halloween in 1994. Remember what you were for Halloween in 1994?
Uh, Solid chance, Batman.
I think being like probably would have been like coming up on 14 at the point. I think I might have I think this might be around the time where I might have stopped going out for Halloween. I think so. I might not have gone out this year for that or that year for Halloween. I think it's a fair chance. But yes, the teleplay by this episode for this episode is by Steve Perry. So yeah, I guess he was busy this year with Journey, so he couldn't be writing too many episodes of Batman. So and the story is by Alan and Burnett and is directed by Dan Urba.
Doing it, Reba. Yeah, this is not just a really good episode, but this was actually my introduction to Clock King. So when we watched the first Clock King episode, I was like, doesn't he have like crazy time stopping powers? So I was a little confused. But yeah, then when this episode finally kind of reared around, I was like, oh, so I didn't imagine this. He does have time stopping powers, kind of.
Yeah. I think this episode, I think I've seen more than the first one because I think this one played more in syndication than the first one initially, and I actually think I think to the point where I think I might have almost forgotten about the first episode just because I had seen this one more and just kind of push it out of my mind, yeah, sort of thing. But I knew I had seen both of them, but like after a while, like I'd seen the first one again, I was like, oh yeah, there are two of them.
Yeah. I would also say that this is probably like as high as you can kind of go in terms of like a Clock King story and still have him taken seriously as a villain. Because for I rack in my brain as to how you go bigger than this.
Yeah, because I think yeah, before this, yeah, I think that as best as you can go is like knowing like how he got away in the first episode, where he's like, hey, this one train is always like 6 minutes late, so I knew when to jump onto it and get away, sort of thing. So I think that was the extent of his powers before getting hold of the device that we'll get into shortly.
Yeah, and that train moment will come back technically in
Yeah,
a later part of this episode, but
yeah,
I'll wait until we get there. I will
yeah.
wait until the right time. Huh?
I don't get it.
Yeah.
So yeah, so this episode starts off where like Bruce and Dick are at this charity auction, so they're like Dick's just like start yawning. He's like, "Oh, this shit's boring as hell." And I was like, "Yeah, I think if I was at a friggin' auction, any sort of auction, I think I'd be in the exact same boat as you, Dick." And
Why does
even
Dick
if I
even
had
need to be
Bruce's
there?
money. Yeah, I don't know. Well, yeah, even if I had Bruce's money, I'd be bored as fuck too at at an auction because I guaranteed like what's there is probably not no, I don't know what I'm looking for in decor or otherwise.
All that Bruce Wayne money and he can't afford to give Robin a Game Boy? Like, really?
For some reason, I feel that Dick feels more like a Game Gear kid.
Yeah, true.
I don't know why, but that definitely feels he'd be more at home playing that than a Game Boy. I think I can definitely picture him with that.
So before we have the introduction of Clock King here, I think it's worth noting that the anti-clock that was in the item in question for the bidding was once owned by Marie Antoinette. And she said to the poor, let them eat clocks. But one thing I found
And,
funny.
And
Go ahead.
every time I no, sorry, and every time I think of Marie Antoinette, I always think about the prom episode of Clone High,
Oh
where
yeah, she
JFK
was in that.
where JFK goes over to in his friggin' bad Boston accent. He's like, Marie Antoinette, will you go to the prom with me?
Hey, you, get off my dinghy. Not you.
Yeah.
One funny thing I found was I was looking up Marie Antoinette's last words. It was when she was just about to get handed over to the guillotine. So apparently she accidentally stepped on her executioner's foot as she was like climbing up to the scaffold, and she said, "Pardon me, sir, I did not do it on purpose." And it's like, okay, you're about to be executed. I mean, like points for decorum, but you're about to be executed. I think if you want to stamp on the foot of the person who's about to kill you, go right ahead. What? What are you gonna do? Kill me?
That's it. I'm going to cut your head off extra good now.
Yeah.
And then and it was funny. This I was getting ready for this episode. I pulled up IMD for this episode, and I was scrolling down, and the name of the voice actor for the auctioneer like popped out,
Oh yeah.
and
Who
you're
was
like,
it?
why? It's Alan Oppenheimer.
Ah.
The third cousin to the famous Oppenheimer. Well, like the one Oppenheimer most people might know. So it was like I was like there's no way they're like that name is that popular a name. So I'm like either that's he had a very different change in career path after 19 the early 1940s, or it's a different person. But yeah, it was like his first notable thing was third cousin to that Oppenheimer. Yeah, so I was like, okay, well, it
Yep.
wasn't actually him, but but it was like definitely related to the famous Oppenheimers. So I thought that was kind of funny.
That is good. Well, and this episode does kind of have like a theme of like, just because we've invented this technology, should we like let people have access to it? And, once we've opened Pandora's box, like, what are we kind of letting loose here? But yeah, that's going a little, maybe a little too deep even for BTOS, but yeah, then we get the return of Clock King.
Because during the auction, he kind of like cuts outside of wherever they're holding the auction, and yeah, you see him kind of show up and kind of phase in and out of visibility or whatever sort of thing, which I never got, like, because he's not like he's like the Flash. He turns he doesn't go faster when he turns it on. Like, yeah, like to us, he's going faster by the day. So I guess unless he's like he has like the faster going thing, but so in rally, it's not really that he's. Yeah, so like in a way he's going faster, but it's not like he's not going faster by turn off by like for himself. So like I don't get why he was turning on and off like so like infrequently like within like that shorter distance. So other than to like show us that he had the device or whatever sort of thing, we need to figure out what it was. Yeah, like within the episode sort of thing. So
Yeah,
did
and
you get
also
that? Did
like,
you feel? Did you go ahead?
well,
Go ahead.
like we don't know what this thing runs on, but like
Yeah,
he's kind of like just wasting like the fuel or the batteries of this thing,
yeah.
just kind of like just casually walking around and just like kind of teleporting like he's Nightcrawler.
Yeah, yeah, because I have a feeling like early '90s like compact battery technology wasn't the greatest, so like so you shouldn't be wasting the battery. Yeah, because I imagine it's probably like a high drainage device, I would think.
Yeah.
So it should be wasting the battery power on that.
Either that or it's on like, old Doc Brown tech and it's on like plutonium, which I remind you, this guy is wearing next to his waist. I don't
Or at
want
least
plutonium near certain vital organs, if you know what I mean.
or it could be like at the end of or at the beginning of the second one where he's where it's running on garbage.
Oh, yeah. That's right, Marty. I solved the garbage crisis.
Which I think he like unintentionally was telling us that garbage is as dangerous as atomic
As
testing.
plutonium? Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Which I thought of now,
That's good. Yeah. No, hey, you never know. One person's trash is another person's plutonium. But yeah, Clock King has arrived at the auction house and he's like, "Am I late?" It's like, "Are you late? Really? You're asking that? You're just being smug at this point, dude." And he's like hiding at the back of the auction, and even Dick turns around and says to Bruce, like, "I think I just saw the Clock King." And Bruce turns around and says, like, he doesn't see him, so like obviously he's disappeared, but he's like, "You're imagining things."
Yeah, I guess I think he said there's like in one of the items is like a mirror, and so I think you hear like as Dick's turning around, you like hear like the phasing out of time noise or whatever sort of thing. So he's like, and then Bruce was like, noticing that he's kind of fidgety and not seeing that he's looking behind. He's like, "Yo, calm down, calm down, Dick. We'll be out here soon enough."
Relax,
And he's
Dick.
like, "Yeah, I think I'm going." He's like, "Yeah," he's like, "You may not believe me, but I think I just saw Temple Fugate. Yeah, the Clock King."
So yeah, and then we have like I this is so like just like low attempt, but at the same time got a good laugh out of me. I'm a sucker for a good going, gone joke because as he's about to like lay down the gavel for this clock that Bruce is about to win, all of a sudden as he says gone, the thing disappears and they're like, "Blimey!"
Yeah, they're all surprised. Yeah, so and he like yeah, he's about to spend like 600 grand on a fucking clock.
Yep.
Like to have like a 600 grand to blow on a fucking clock.
Yeah. That and like for me, like I don't know about you, but like I've always thought that like watches are nothing more than a fashion statement in this day and age, considering like we all have phones. So I don't know. Like I've gone to a couple like social functions where just like nobody looks at clocks anymore. Like other than
Yeah,
your phone, nobody looks at them. Like
yeah. Even for me, like I was a watch guy, as a kid, and I don't think I haven't worn one in like 20 years myself, even.
yeah, that and I've also heard like this like generation of kids, if not them, the generation after them, they're pretty much given up like teaching them how to tell time on a clock. Like they're just like it's all digital from here, which I'm like I'm okay with that. Like whatever.
I guess I shouldn't talk. I do have like a digital clock up on my wall right now, and I'm looking at it. So
Well, and yeah, your job it's all digital like time codes you have to keep track of anyway. Like
yeah, true. So, but I do know how to read a analog clock. So,
yeah. But yeah, Clock
if
King
you
has stolen the antique clock, and like Bruce and Dick jump into action. Like I don't know what they're expecting to do here. I think they're just like running to the empty like auction stand, and we see him in the alley, Clock King, and he just like like a trial run, but it went like clockwork. Ah, like he's making these puns for nobody but himself at this point. And then
yeah,
he throws the clock
yeah.
away.
I like that. I like how it just even coincidentally just like lands in the garbage even. So he's like probably fucking, he's like probably expecting it to fucking like land on the ground and explode, but it didn't.
Yeah. And I think the next scene is Batman and Robin at Gordon's office, where they're reviewing the security tape and they're watching it in slow motion. And you see this like hand like sliding its way around, like literally just like a disembodied hand, as the clock is like instantaneously disappearing at the same time. And you just watch the security guard and the auctioneer in slow motion going, "What?"
Then he I think that's when Batman figures out that he's like, yeah, it probably is Fugate. And he like, because he takes into consideration like Robin like thinking he saw him. So like, but I'd like to know how he just figures out he's like, because he most of that arm is like from like the elbow to the hand. So it's like
Mhm.
how do you put like Robin saying he thought he saw him and that into saying that it is Fugate unless it was just because it was like the clock as well.
Yeah. I think also Batman is just refusing to admit that Robin was right because, that like Dick is going around the Batcave all week going, I told you so. I told you so. But yeah, I think as he's like, I'm gonna start looking into it, but you should probably like warn the mayor, considering like the last time that we saw Fugate. Oh, also, he says we can rule out an invisible man, which is a reference to See
Oh
No
yeah, too.
Evil.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, that did happen. Yeah, so he's, which I like. Yeah, it's a nice little very wink to the to like another episode. Then I think this is where we like cut to like Doctor Wakati's place or whatever, where he's like kind of like looking at the one where it's like I think it was like the iron ball or whatever, and it's kind of like a cone, like it's kind of like a going up and widening sort of thing, and then another device that's hooked up to like a plant, and you can see it's growing like really fast or whatever, and then you see a few good coming up saying like, hey, it's like breakfast time or whatever sort of thing, and Hassan
I love how he also
has
says
words
like I
going and
have a
he's like
timer for your medication. So it's like even though he's like working for someone else, he can't help but not micromanage. By the
I
way,
guess sorry, go ahead.
yeah, did you recognize the actor who voiced Dr. Wakati?
The voice did sound familiar, but I didn't catch who it was now.
It's Roscoe Lee Brown, who was the voice of the Kingpin in Spider-Man.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And yeah, I just thought it was interesting because like it kind of like jumping on kind of a Marvel tangent here because the effect obviously like this is years before the Doctor Strange movie, but essentially what Wakati has developed is the same effect as the Time Stone in the Doctor Strange film because he's figured out a way to like create a stasis field around time. So like you mentioned the iron ball that he had, and he said like I dropped this thing like from a height a week ago and it's still descending.
Oh,
And yeah, like he's showing the
it's only gone down like a tenth of a millimeter
Mhm.
or whatever in the 3 weeks or however long it's been, and then with conversely with the plant, like 5 minutes, like you said, like 5 minutes ago, the plant was like a seed, and then you just
Yep.
as we're looking at it, it's just starting to wither away and die. So it's like so it's gone through its natural life cycle. And he's like, yeah, he's like, yeah, use this for this. We can, put, cancer patients in stasis and until like we find the cure, or we can get rid of like nuclear waste in minutes instead of eons. So that's
But
it.
you
So
think that
obviously,
with like
like
the
it's want it want. Go
you
ahead.
think with like the freezing of like time around like, terminal patients, you think that like Dr. Victor Freeze would be listening to this and being like, "You mean I didn't have to freeze my wife solid?"
Well, this is after that. I don't think that like actually real life that would actually work though, because like, do you not know what happens when we're outside in the cold for very long? We got frostbite. Like our cells aren't made to like we're not those frogs that have like the antifreeze in our blood that is made for us to specifically be able to like freeze and then come back from it. Like once our shit freezes, we'd fucking die because like the water expands and shit. Like we don't have the technology for that to not happen first before we get woken up because we fuck. So like, I'm definitely not a proponent of like thinking that Walt Disney is actually like a frozen head somewhere. He's going to be like woken up in like 50 years and be like, ah, surprise.
What are you talking about? Jack Dawson is just waiting to be woken up at the bottom of the ocean.
No, he's hanging out with Aquaman and Elena's man at
Yeah.
this point,
He's having a rave at the bottom with the Aquaman.
or he's at the or he's hanging out with SpongeBob at the having a Krabby Patty.
There you go. But yeah, so Fugate has adopted the alias of Harold, and he's essentially like, this Dr. Wakati's butler. And as Wakati is like listing off like the potential applications for this technology, like Fugit is like literally like hunched over and wringing his hands like evilly, like, yes, the potentials are endless. Like these aren't warning signs to you, dude. Like,
Yeah, so we'll totally do what you were saying about the soft man. That's the ticket.
well, even he like picks up the device. It kind of looks like a like old like VHS tape, but like with like an
No,
S kind of design.
no. It looks like a fucking Nintendo controller.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's a good point.
With the circles on the ends and stuff, just a bit longer in the middle, like the rectangle in the middle is a bit longer. So, but
Yeah,
yeah,
and like he like picks this
100%.
thing up. He picks this thing up, and like Wakati is just like just letting him do it, and then like he turns around and like you get just like pockets the thing and just walks out of there. It's just like you are a terrible scientist.
And then what happens after that? I forget.
After that, he's getting back in, and he's like looking at a newspaper, a picture of Mayor Hill, and he's like, "Yes, it's about time we got reacquainted, Mr. Mayor." And he like hits a button on the device on his waist, and he like disappears. So Batman and Robin have kind of made a stakeout outside the mayor's office at town hall. And Robin has like a listening device. Is like Mayor's on the phone with Gordon. He's like, "Oh, I'm not worried about Fugate. What's the worst that little dweeb can do to me?" Well, considering the last time you guys met, he threw a train at you. Maybe you should consider this a pretty solid threat against your life. But hey, what do I know? He's just like, oh, I got like a platoon of cops outside my door. Like, I'll be fine.
Yeah, so yeah, then I think you see like if you could walk up to the door and then you see him he's still in the using the device and he like knocks on the door, but then you cut to like inside the office and it sounds like it's like a
It's like,
fast
duh,
like
duh, 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 duh.
it's like what the fuck is going on?
Yeah. So let's take a second here to kind of talk about like the effects here because like it's really cool design. Like and this is what I appreciate. Like the animators really thought of the physics of this because Fugit hasn't stopped time. If you guys have ever seen the movie Clockstoppers, it's like a like kind of teen sci-fi comedy movie, but it's actually pretty cool. It's the same kind of principle. This kid, he gets a watch that his like scientist father created, and it allows him to move at a speed beyond sight, but everything else slows around to the point where it looks like time has stopped. But like in a similar instance to this episode, like when Fugit is walking through the building and everything's got this black and white effect except for him because time is frozen still, seemingly. But even as he's walking into the front lobby, you see this fan moving
Yeah,
slowly in the motion. So it's just that little conveying message to the audience that, yeah, it looks like time has stopped, but it's not stopped entirely. He's just moving, even as Robin kind of makes a Superman kind of analogy later on, faster than a speeding bullet.
I did catch that.
Yeah. But yeah,
Yeah,
as you mentioned, he's like going into the town hall, and I love like as he's like entering up the he hits the button of the elevator, and he's like, "What the hell am I doing?" Like, and he like walks
yeah,
up the stairs.
I probably would have done the exact same thing and be like, "Why the
Same
fuck's
here.
this? Like, why is this elevator? Oh, right."
Yeah. And it makes sense for the plot too, because like as he's like going up the stairs, he sees this assistant, and she's like just taking a misstep, and just like you see her frozen in with all these papers scattered around, and he like leans in, he's like, "It's gonna be a nasty fall, dearie." And what I found interesting is right before he knocks on the mayor's door. So remember, the mayor said he's got cops outside his office waiting for Fugit to strike. Okay. So after he's, yeah, done that like rapid fire knocking on the door, he walks into the office, stops the device, and gleefully like taunts the mayor in his office. Okay. So he's in regular time now. and he left the door open. The cops are right outside. They can move freely now, and yet they're just like not hearing the mayor being threatened by Fugate. Like, you have one job to do and you suck at that.
Well, yeah, they are Gotham cops, yeah. So yeah,
Yeah,
you
true.
shouldn't really expect
You
them to
get what
be.
you pay for. But yeah, I love this
Uh,
scene of like Fugate just like taunting the mayor.
yeah, and then as you hear that, yeah, like Robin hears that Fugate's in the office because he has like listening device. So like the Batman had set up a device or whatever, like, or set up or a trap, I should say, for him, and like which is basically like a blinding light, a couple of blinding lights, which you would think you go into the office, you would notice those like right away, but also be like, you probably would be like, what the fuck are those? Instead of
Yeah.
knowing what their knowing what the end result was going to be, because even me, I wouldn't have been like, oh, these are here specifically for me.
Yeah.
I would
I
be like,
mean,
what the fuck? Why are these in
yeah,
the office?
Hamilton Hill is like completely thick at this point, dude. Like that's the problem. It's that thing. It's like, are you like woefully like negligent or just oblivious to this stuff? Are you that stupid a politician guy?
No, no, I meant for Temple, because obviously he know, like, yeah,
Oh yeah,
the mayor knows that, like, it's there because for Fugate, but like, yeah, if you could go into the office, I wouldn't have thought those were they're there for me specifically. So
yep,
yeah, so Batman flips them on, and then, like, you see like the blinding flashlight like through the window, and then if you could if I kind of like rubbing them as he as they jump through the window to the wall.
yeah, and like we have this like really kind of creative fight scene because like yeah, like this isn't just Batman trying to take down Clock King. This is Batman and Robin. And like he like grapples him and like kind of ties him up in the wire, but then like Fugate like kind of spins around like the Tasmanian devil, and it's pretty clever actually.
So he makes like yeah, actually puts up a pretty good fight, yeah, because obviously they can't track him initially, but I think at some point does this like is it in the office that his device like breaks at one point, or does he like or does he get away first?
He goes running back down the same staircase he came down, but because he hit the button to stop the device in between the last time he was in the staircase. The woman who he saw like slipping on
Oh, that's right.
the
Yeah,
step,
it's like on her knees, like hands and knees, picking up the papers that were like half in the air and stuff. Yeah, then he like trips on her, yeah, and falls down the stairs and kind of damages it initially.
yeah, because she like lands on top of him, and it's like this is the closest to action that Fugate's probably gotten in like his entire life. I remember in our last episode, you were talking about like what like clocking sex life would look like. And I was just like, you know what? Like the more I thought about it, I mean, if I dare to go into that abyss, I was like, I feel like Fugate would just consider it a waste of time.
He probably has like every party. He probably has like 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 20 seconds for undressing, like 2 minutes for foreplay,
Yeah, this is already
like
taking too long.
5 minutes for the main deed. That 3.5 minutes for cuddling,
Yeah, I feel like he'd just be turned on by clocks anyway. He's into a
and
clock fetish.
then like 5 minutes for like the post bang shower.
Yeah. Show me the big hand. Show me the little hand. Yeah, so yeah, she like lands on top of him and I guess like as she's like he's like get off me and she like starts smacking him cuz like he like, collided with her and that's I guess when the he runs out of time and the cops are like encircling him. There's like four cops who are just like, hold it right there. Like they're about as efficient as you think they would even in regular time.
Yeah, then as they do that, he presses the button again, and it somehow manages to get working again. Yeah, so like just as they all go to jump him, yeah, the device activates, and then as he's doing that, I think that's when he also notices that the Batmobiles are like around the corner of the one building, I think.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah.
so
So
yeah, and then that made me think. Say like they doesn't he show that shows that afterwards that he put another device in the Batmobile. We don't see that, but maybe think of like how how wide of like a does the device cast like how big a bubble does it cast like the time stopping or slowing up or whatever you want to call it, like I would do, like sort of thing. So I wonder, like how long the four cops would be there before he walked away, or how long would it be before like he's like outside like the bubble, and then would it be like instantaneous who's there out, or like would it take a couple more seconds or minutes for like the effects to wear off before they went back into normal time or however you want to call it?
I
What
was
do you think?
thinking, yeah, kind of a similar question. Like, yeah, like what are the limitations on this thing? Because, yeah, they kind of play around with that a little bit, but they don't like press the envelope too much. But yeah, it is a good question.
Yeah, because I guess you don't really want to try and get into like the that means we'll have to actually get into like how the device like actually works and stuff. And I guess that if you just like, hey, it's like a time device and it does this thing, so you just it's just doing the thing that we need to do for the story. So I guess
Yep.
we don't want to get into too much detail of how it actually works. I guess.
Yeah, so Clock King, he as he sees the Batmobile. We don't see what he does to the Batmobile just yet, but he grabs a cop car, and they left the keys in the car. Of course they did, and he like takes it on a joyride, and after he's done that, we have Batman and Robin. Talking to the mayor, and the mayor's like, "It was horrible. First he was there, then he was there, then he was there." It's like, and he's just like, "If you hadn't set that trap, I don't know what would have happened." And so Robin's got like an evidence bag of like the crushed pieces of what was left of the device. Kind of interesting that like there's crushed pieces of it, and yet the thing's working fine. So like, what do
Yeah.
they have left? Like,
Yeah, I know. Yeah, so I wondered. Yeah, so it might have just been like the outer casing of it, maybe or something. But yeah, but I was definitely thinking the same thing. Yeah, the fact that it was actually still working when Robin had like an evidence bag full of stuff on it. Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, then he says like, yeah, then with this we could probably figure out like who made it. But then I think Batman at that point even says like right away that he thinks he knows who it is because he says like I think it's the doctor, whoever, like I've forgotten
The
his name
Wakati
already.
guy.
Like yeah, Dr. Wakata, yeah, I should
Yeah.
go try to check him out. And I remember like how he figured or like how he figured it out or like
I do
why he thought
remember
that I've
because
forgotten.
yeah, so like what's interesting is like Fugate crashes the car inside like a kind of ravine well not ravine like pretty much into like a an aqueduct in the city, and there's a train track right beside it. So Batman remembered how Fugate had memorized the train schedules in the last episode of the last encounter he had with him. And so he's looking at the Batmobile of like the train schedules of like basically when he would have crashed this car, and kind of cross references that with like what time that would have been and like where the train was kind of going. And he's like, that could only point it towards like Cranston Estates, where Dr. Wakati, who's like an expert on like quantum physics and like the study of time would be, which I was like, that's pretty smart. That shows that Batman knew to like he knew that Clock King was going to show his head again sooner or later, and he's like, I'm gonna like study this guy like in the meantime because like you
Well,
never
so
know.
well, I don't think it was that. He's just like, because I think the way you're saying it is like I don't think it was a coincidence, yeah, because like the only train that has gone there is XSR, so knowing his knowledge of that sort of thing, so he's just like, it's because of that. And he said like how he got away from last time, so, so I think it was like, hey, I'm gonna no one to study him for this thing. It's just like I think it's just because he studies everybody. It's coincidence that he like it was like okay, yeah, so it's probably that's why sort of thing, yeah. So then that's why he figures out that it's Doctor Riccati, and they go to see him.
Yeah, so right before we find out what Fugate did to the Batmobile, we have Wakati going downstairs to who he assumes is Harold's living quarters. He's like, Harold, you're late for our sponge bath. Like, you dare accuse me of being late, you son of a bitch.
Yeah,
He's like, I haven't been entirely honest with you, doctor.
the doctor's like halfway down the stairs, and if you comes in after him, and he's like, "How dare you be in my room? I told you never come in here. You don't know why I do in here."
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I know exactly what you're doing here, and it usually involves clocks. In fact, stop stealing my clocks. If not, clean them afterward. I'll clean your clock. But yeah, he's like I think I know exactly what to do with you. He made some other time pun. I don't remember what it was. He's like, all in due time or some shit. But yeah, then we have Batman and Robin driving on their way to see Dr. Wakati and kind of like figure out like what Fugate's up to. So okay. So this is where it gets interesting because we find out what Fugate did to the Batmobile. He put one of those devices on the underbelly of it, kind of like how in Batman Returns Penguin put like that little like thing on the hijack the Batmobile before kind of taking control of it. But here it's puts it into a time loop. So we have this really cool kind of warp speed effect where basically Batman says like we're stuck in time. So like
I suck out of time.
yeah, stuck out of time.
So he's like, so you see like the world is going faster, like around them, sort of thing, and then it says like, yeah, Robin's like, oh, why is this? Why is this bad thing? And he's like, well, if like he's still equal MC squared in this thing, so if like another car hits us, real good chance we'll explode. But like, and then we'll find out like, yeah, that it's been like 48 hours that they've been in that little thing. Like, yeah, they're like in the middle of the road. It's not like they're like off to the side or something. So like, so how
They're
bad
in
are
the
the
middle of the
drivers?
highway.
Yeah, so it's how did they not get hit in that 48 hours or whatever?
Well, not just that, but like, okay, so the last time we saw them before they got in the car, like Gordon was like kind of keeping tabs on the whole Clock King situation. So, okay, you're telling me that for 48 hours, the Batmobile was on a public highway just sitting there and no cops went to investigate it? Like every criminal in Gotham should be on a crime spree right now because it's like we know exactly where Batman is and he's just sitting on the freeway.
And two and two like how would they know that it was like 48 hours because they just kind of look up at the clock tower. It doesn't have like a like the
A
date. It's not like a
calendar.
digital clock. Yeah, it doesn't have like the date under it. So like and only they kind of noticed that like the sun was going up and down the one. So like so
Yeah. It was just like, wait a minute here. Like you're expecting us to buy a lot from this. Like but yeah, after he managed to just like punch his way through the bottom of the Batmobile and like remove the device. The Batmobile like goes off like a rocket out of like a NASA launch pad, and he like swerves it around like, oh my gosh!
Yeah, and this kind of like swerves out and like hits a light post and comes down, and then I think that's when they end up going out to the doctor's place. I think.
Yeah, so okay, so this is what I found kind of funny the more I thought about it because remember the last time that we saw Wakati, he was down in the basement with Clock King. So when Batman and Robin find him, Wakati is stuck in a stasis field inside his laboratory, just kind of like on his knees, like, "Oh, don't come near me," kind of, like frozen in literal fear. And okay, so does that mean that Clock King did that to him in the basement, picked him up and hauled him like what is at least like a floor, if not two floors, to the top of the laboratory, and just kind of like he's just
No,
like
what?
like carrying like
They I think they went into the basement too, so he was down there. So it was like, so it looked like there was like, it wasn't like it wasn't up on the main floor or anything. So it looked to be in the same place.
my headcanon is funnier. And this does seem like something clocking would do. It's just like, I'm going for the dramatic effect. Even though I'm an efficiency expert and this is a total waste of time. Yeah, so they realized like based on something that Fugate had said about like he wanted to not just get his revenge on Mayor Hill, but like the entire judicial system. So there's a courthouse that's going to be like kind of opened by the mayor, and he realizes like Fugate's going to go there, and he is going to like place a bomb underneath like the podium where uh, Mayor Hill's going to like hit a gavel and like basically set it off. So because of the amount of time it's taken since the like the kind of time trap that Fugate laid for the Batmobile, they look at the clock and they realize that's across town. That's happening in 5 minutes.
And no, it's 2 minutes.
2 minutes. Yeah.
So like he's like, oh, how are we gonna do that? Then you see like Batman. He's like grabs two of the Super Nintendo controllers. He's like, you got 30 seconds to show us how to use these. Yeah, which is like the line that I always remember like the most out of this episode is that one. Because as I said, like I said, I definitely seen like this episode more than like the initial one. Yeah, so then then it just cuts to like somebody like sweeping up like leaves or something on like a dirt road or whatever, and then you just see like zoom by, and then it shows Batman rapping on their bat cycles like inside the thing, and they go by by a plane, and there's like a bird like behind it, and it's kind of really slow. And but Robin's like, "Oh man, this is like super trippy or whatever," because they can see like time going slowly outside as they're speeding towards the towards Gotham.
Do you think that Batman
And I
was
think that's
dodging
where
the
like it
bugs
cuts
as
back.
they're hitting the helmets, or were they like just there's no time and they're just getting splattered all over the place?
Yeah, so that's why like I like that little thing they added into like the Quicksilver scenes in the newer X-Men movies or whatever. Where he puts the glasses on so that
That's
that'll
why he's got
actually
the
happen. Yeah.
glasses. If I could save time in a bottle. Yeah, so Fugate is planting the bomb in front of the car. Oh yeah, we should also mention like a cop is like waiting basically for he's either guarding the mayor or he's waiting for Fugate to strike. Throws a jelly bean in the air right as Fugate pauses time, and Fugate just takes the jelly bean like just a petty little child.
I'm sure I probably would have done the same thing. So
Yeah, true. Yeah, so he plants the bomb underneath, and he's just like, I think I'm going to savor the moment, literally savoring the moment, like just waiting like for pretty much Hill to like smack this gavel. To okay, in Fugate's defense, watching an explosion in slow motion would be pretty cool.
I'd probably do it at least once. Yeah, too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, so as he's like waiting for that, he's startled because he actually hears like that bad cycles come up because they're obviously like uh, uh, coming up and walking around in like normal speed, quote unquote normal speed to him, sort of thing. And then he's all surprised. And then I think that's does Robin go after him while Batman goes for the bomb? I think.
Yeah, so Robin goes after Clock King, and Batman's like going to disarm the bomb, but he realizes it's already activated. But because obviously it's in, like hyper time, it hasn't set itself off yet. So this is actually they'll kind of reference this later on in one of the Justice League episodes where Flash does the same thing with the bomb, where Batman picks up the bomb and starts running towards like a safe distance away, but the bomb is essentially going off. Okay, so that's cool and it's a really cool special effect, but shouldn't it still burn Batman's hands off? Like what are those gloves made out of?
Yeah, they probably it's probably best not to think of the physics, yeah, because obviously it's not not quite right, yeah, but
Yeah.
you would think so, yeah, definitely, yeah, but yeah, so I think yeah, definitely goes towards like Gotham Bay or the river or whatever, yeah, and it ends up throwing it into the water, and then like all of a sudden you see like it cuts to like the mayor like if like the coming back to normal speed and hitting the gavel, then all of a sudden, like the explosion goes off in the water, and and everyone's like all surprised. They're like, "Oh, what the hell's going on?"
Yeah.
Because that would be slightly disarming, I would think.
Yeah. Why isn't anybody looking at me, the mayor? Yeah. So Robin, yeah, takes care of Fugate, and I think he figured out a way to like deactivate the device. And Fugate's like, no! And Robin just like you just see this like camera angle of like Robin just kind of like reaching his hand over it, a Fugate's face, and yeah, I found it interesting because like the we have, I don't know, maybe like Robin like damaged the thing so much, or maybe it's just a coincidence in the animation because like when we see Fugate in the paddy wagon later, we just see his frozen face like ah, and I was just like, did you like break this thing enough that like Fugate is frozen in time? Like, because if you did, that's really funny.
So yeah, so then it cuts back to the doctor's place and stuff, and Batman's talking to him, and yeah, is basically saying like, yeah, unfortunately, I don't think people are ready for my devices and stuff because Batman is saying like, yeah, these could be used for good, but
Yeah.
obviously, like he's like, obviously, people aren't ready for it yet.
You wonder if Batman's like going over and said, so theoretically speaking, if you had some kind of DeLorean shaped device that you could use to go back, let's say about 20, 30 years to a movie theater and, save, well known humanitarian Thomas Wayne and his wife. Could that work? It's like, that's very specific, Batman. Damn it, answer the question. All of a sudden, we get Bat Point.
Yeah, so what would you give this episode out of five time devices?
I am going to give it 4 out of 5. Really creative idea with how to kind of bring back Clock King bigger and stronger. And yeah, I thought like the animation was really good, and they clearly put a lot of thought into like the physics of it all. And yeah, no, it kept me guessing. So yeah, no, it was a pretty good episode.
Yeah, I think I'll go give it a 3.5 out of 5 myself. It's that nice second episode. He actually gives him actual like puts him up into the I guess supervillain stratus where he actually has like a device or something like that to go along with his his shtick, I guess. So I think I give it a 3.5 out of 5 myself. Alrighty, folks, that is the episode for this week. Thanks for joining us in the Batcave to talk about Batman, the animated series. Next week's episode will be Catwalk. And for some reason, that makes me think it's going to be a Catwoman episode. I don't know why. Hey, you can follow us on Twitter/X at Beyond Backcast, on Instagram at Beyond the Backcast. We are on YouTube now at youtube.com/ at Beyond the Backcast. Check us out there. Give us a rate, review, subscribe on there, or wherever you find your podcasts, like you're listening to it right now. That'll definitely help us out. And where can we find you on the internet, Braydon?
You could find me at my show, Fandom and Folklore, where we talk about fantasy movies and TV shows and the fandoms that follow them. And if you want to find out more about Beyond the Backcast, you can follow us on Instagram, click on our link tree, and you can find a link to our Discord, the Batcave, where we talk about all sorts of Batman stuff.
Yes, and you can follow me on Instagram on my personal account. It's at StumpTrunkman. And as I said, thanks for joining us in the Batcave to talk about Batman, the animated series at Beyond the Batcast. Goodbye, good chums. Kapow.